So in this question, we're still using the 11 plus consortium set of question, the familiarization booklet. I'm looking at question number 2 now. So it says, I think of a number, n, I add 10 to n and then multiply the answer by 4. The result is 600. What is the number that I first thought of? So what I'm going to do here is actually going to go through this with you in two different ways. Okay, one is algebraic route, which I think if you're going for grammar schools and 11 plus entrance exams for independent schools, then you probably need to kind of think about algebra to a higher level than possibly which you'd be kind of used to by the end of year 5 or even beginning of year 6 or even mid year 6 for those going for independent schools. So let's have a think about this. We can use algebra for this question. And so you can use algebra by thinking about n, as they've given us n, and I'm going to write n here as a number that we're thinking of. I add 10 to n, so let me highlight some of these key phrases, right? I think of a number n, I add 10 to n, and then multiply the answer by 4. The result is 600. What is an n? What is the number n that I first thought of, okay? And that's what you're trying to work out. Okay, right, so it makes it a bit more clearer for me. And so let's have a think about this question. I've got n, I add 10 to n plus 10. Then I'll multiply the answer by 4. So this answer, I multiply this by 4. I could write 4 here. I don't think you're going to get marked down if you wrote n plus 10 and then multiply by 4. That's also okay, and equals to 600. And so some of us will know that I have to divide by 4 first. And so you're left with n plus 10 equals 600 divided by 4, which is equal to 150. So we can write here, n plus 10 equals 150. N would be 10 less than 150, 140. We take 10 away from both sides, and we get 140 equals n, or n equals 140. And so that's your final answer. N is the number we're thinking of. And here you can see that n is equal to 140. Perfect, because 140 add 10 is 150. 150 times 4 is 600, and that's a result. It works perfectly. However, some of us are going to find algebra quite a challenge. Okay, so how would we at Singapore Maths Academy go about solving this, even though, you know, some of our children are not going to be comfortable with algebra? What would we do? And that's a really good question, actually, right? Because there are different ways of looking at this, okay? And I'll keep n equals 140 up there. And so you could use bar modeling, for example. You could have n, that's your n, plus 10, and times 4 means there will be n plus 10 4 times, n plus 10, and n plus 10 4 times. I haven't done this very well in terms of proportionality, and so all of this is equal to 600, right? And I know that this is 10, this is 10, this is 10, this is 10. And so I know that if I take that away, I'm left with 1, 2, 3, 4 n's, 4 numbers, 4 equal numbers, right? That I don't know just yet. So if I take the 10, 20, 30, 40 away, 600 take away 40 is equal to 560. And 560 divided by 4 would give us what n is. 560 divided by 4, well, that's easy, right? 140. And so if you've got 140, that means this is 140, n is 140, plus 10, that's 150, plus 140 plus 10, 150, plus 140 plus 10, 150, plus 140 plus 150. 150 add 150 is 300, add 150 is 450, add 150 is 600. So n is equal to 140 again. Okay, so we've got 140 here. That's the key part there, 140. And so that's another way of looking at it. And the final way, I suppose, you can have a look at this is if we think about something that we do quite well actually in primary, and it's called function machines, and we do quite well in secondary actually as well, not just primary. So function machines, so you've got n plus 10, that multiplied by 4, right? So the problem here is that a lot of children just write times 4, okay, equals 600. And so that wouldn't be right because it's 10 times 4, which is 40, n plus 40 equals 600, and then it would just not be the right way of solving this because we've done something wrong there, okay? So how could we solve this problem? Well, function machines would be ideal. So if your children find the algebra side quite challenging, then function machines here would be ideal because you can kind of get them to think about this in a slightly different way. You can say, okay, you've got a number, we're adding 10, and that answer, okay, we're going to multiply by what was it again? By 4, okay, which looks similar to what we've just done up there. So they may make a mistake that way. So it's not just about writing it in this specific way. What I would suggest is writing, we've got a number, okay, question mark, we add 10, and then that answer we multiply by 4 and we get 600. So how can we work this out? So inverse operation, function machine. The last thing we did was times 4. So we divide by 4. That's 150. I can write 150 here if I wanted to. 150, we added 10 here. We're going to subtract 10. And we're left with that number we thought of originally. 150 take away 10 is 140. So that's 3 different ways. 1, purely algebraic. 2, a mixture of visual algebra, which is using the bar model approach. And 3, a algebraic method in essence, but it's using something called function machines. So if some children are brilliant at everything apart from algebra. Algebra is a big part, actually, a key part. And so we've got to make sure that they are somehow, everyone's not the same. So somehow we can figure out algebraic questions in a different way, maybe to most other people. Most other children may use this, but your child might not be comfortable just yet. Everyone gets to their peak at different ages, okay, in maths. And so this might be ideal for them, or they might just need a little bit of a kind of like a kickstart where the bar modeling approach is something that we use because we know that they can see why we do things in algebra, and therefore it allows them to move on to algebra in an efficient way as well. But a lot of schools use this, and that also helps them to move to algebra in an efficient way.